So this culture fitment or role fitment, which probably still now softwares and AI cannot do, people can do, is something we don't want to miss upon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm Rahul Abhishek, the CEO and founder of HireWithEve.ai, an AI agent for applicant screening that helps reduce hiring time by 90%. Today, we have a very special guest joining us from Mumbai, India, Mr. Vivek Sapre. And to tell you a bit about Vivek, he's the Group CHRO of Veranda Learning, a publicly listed education company with an annual revenue of 16 billion. And he has had prominent leadership roles at NeoGrowth, EY, and L&T Finance. He is the alumnus of XLRI Jamshedpur. So welcome to the podcast, Vivek.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks for this great introduction and welcome.
Perfect. So why don't we kickstart the conversation by you sharing with us about your career, how you've reached where you have, and then we'll proceed from there.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, Rahul. Started from IT services, got into marketing post MBA, went to analytics, tried my hands at product, strategy, consulting. And all through, I slowly realized that I have an aptitude to work along with people for making their things probably better in some way or other. And thereby, probably I should be working more closely with leaders and peoples to make things happen for them. And that brought me to HR ultimately. So over last 8 odd years, I'm into HR leadership roles and enjoying every single day because every day is very different when you deal with people. It's not machine, it's not process. You are dealing with people. So emotions, excitement, motivation, lack of it, all that makes things very interesting and very challenging on a day-to-day basis. So thoroughly enjoying this journey and foresee near future, far future to continue. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, of course, you have across your career been within the domain of HR. So, one of my question to you is, we have a notion that HRs are the superheroes of the organization, and
Okay.
and that notion exists because it's these profiles and this kind of business function whose responsibility it is to pull the team together to execute on the company's vision and mission.
Mhm.
Now, of course, any kind of domain position comes with strengths and weaknesses. So I would just like you to reflect on this notion, share with us what you
Mhm.
think really, if that is the case or not, and
Mhm.
we can later on also discuss some of the inherent weaknesses that you've kind of observed over the years in your leadership position.
Sure. So to me, by design itself, HR needs to be someone who is approachable, who is available, who is easy to work with. And if there is a notion of superhero attached to someone, probably these things may not be there, right? So that is where there could be days when a HR person needs to put on his her cape, mask, and all. But usual day, HR has to be the guy next door, very much there for employees as well as for leaders and management to be reached out to. Right. So I don't think superhero is the right tag, but yeah, if there are on those typical days when HR has to be in that superhero mode, what strengths? Probably the biggest strength for HR is I have been mostly into service sector, so I can talk about service sector. Uh, See, we have two raw material or sources. One is capital, other is people. I mean, that's the raw material for a service sector business, right? So HR is someone who is taking care of or custodian of people side of it. There are so many managing the capital side of it. Probably HR is the one alongside top leadership and management who are actually focused on managing people. So that is their power or superpower in a way. And HR also has to have a great sense of EQ, not just IQ. And if you have that, that's a superpower because not many departments and functions would be focused about having EQ. And if you don't have that and you end up being into HR and you don't have the right set of EQ and IQ, then probably that will become a weakness because what is intended out of you will not come.
Yeah.
So then it will be a weakness. Yeah. So that's what probably my answer would be.
Yeah. Definitely makes sense. And EQ and IQ and EQ is definitely really important in this particular position.
Yeah.
Now let's just zoom out and talk about the market a bit. So we've been noticing this particular trend of future of work a lot, and this is evolving a lot of conversation on social media as well. I would like your perspective on this particular trend. What do you think of it? What does it mean for us in the industry? And how should we kind of go about thinking about this particular trend?
So future of work, largely to me, to my mind, two things come. One, the buzzword today. I mean, AI, of course, is changing the landscape in any sector, any industry it is, and across departments it is changing, right? So HR is someone who has to be the enabler and the manager of this change, where AI's true potential as a productivity multiplier can get realized, and the anxieties and the concerns which usual employees have, that will it lead to job loss, will I lose my job and all, needs to be addressed. That part probably HR has to play, which is future workplace prerequisite, I would say. And second is the focus towards employee wellness and well-being is changing significantly. Initially, productivity, performance, they continue to be there. But even if you look at technology dashboards now, when on one end productivity and performance will be talked about, on other the matrices of well-being will also be looked at, and the two have started to talk to each other. Initially the two dashboards used to be different, the platforms themselves used to be different, now they are getting integrated, right? So employee wellness and well-being as a criteria to be looked at to drive performance, avoid burnout, optimizing workplace effectiveness and productivity, efficiency, all that is something which is coming up as a big time and slowly getting momentum across from top companies to startups everywhere. So this would be the second change, I would say, in 2 3 years, which will further gain stream and will be a big talking point and execution arena.
Yeah. So, I mean, that makes definitely a lot of sense. And we'll also talk about like how tech is really playing a role and what have you observed.
Mhm.
So talking about then the tech itself, how have you seen kind of tech enabling part of the whole trend? So this was a great example of the
Mhm.
dashboards are also coming together, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Could you highlight like few more examples where you've seen this trend really playing a role in the
Mhm.
that we
Mhm.
use and the processes that we have?
Mhm. So for HR per se, the employee life cycle starts right from the candidate identification stage.
Right.
So right from screening of profiles to the interview and the selection process experience, now technology is playing very important role. Screening of profiles is done through algorithms at times. Now it is slowly getting, at least for the entry level roles, more typical roles like sales. Now these algorithms and analytics tool, data science is playing its role, whereby fitment to the organization way of doing things and culture is predicted looking at some of the demographic and experiential profiles which matrices which are there in the profile, right? Then interview selection, maybe initial interactions slowly are getting taken care by AI platforms. uh, they are also taking care of, is it Vivek who is attending the interview, or is it someone Vikas who is attending on behalf of Vivek, right? So
Right.
that also is being taken care of. So technology is gaining strength across the value chain. I mean, interview experience is one, then onboarding, immediate feedback, real-time feedback. Is it making sense? Are you settling down fine? The 30-day, 60-day, all those touch points, they are getting much takenable. Along with this entire life cycle of employee, the from reward, recognition, performance, we know there are HRIS platforms and tools which are now getting more and more real time in populating some of these data points. And then they start flowing to the performance dashboards, the wellness dashboards, like your happiness index kind of equivalent, how leave, absenteeism, they are also kind of wellness parameters. So productivity, performance, wellness parameter, they have begun to talk to each other. And the journey of employee is not ending at exit itself nowadays. More and more organizations are getting into having alumni platforms.
Yeah.
whereby they continue to engage, good news gets shared, bad news gets shared, employee can get back, okay, I lost my relieving letter, can you give me another copy, right? So all this is becoming tech enabled. And one very good part of it is, lot of it is very self-explanatory, so very useful for employee to get some of the small queries and aspects taken care of. Bots have come, AI has come to make things even easier and smoother. Lesser HR team members are required to run the show of this employee lifecycle value. So these are some of the great things which are happening out there.
Right, right. And then there is a lot of tech here, and the current kind of not trend, but tech that we're dealing with is AI. So how
Mhm.
have you seen now AI begin to either play a role, or if not at your company yet, but what have you observed out there where
Hmm.
AI is also now changing the game in all of these HR processes?
So as I mentioned, the selection part of it, of course, AI is being used very dominantly, predominantly, and as well as when it comes to addressing the learning requirements or training requirements, and as well the small employee queries. So AI is now capable of addressing some of these things. So if Vivek needs certain training intervention, we don't have to necessarily go through the usual pattern of when will that schedule happen, when will it happen, all that. AI administered platforms are there which can kind of customize this training for the individual employee, can be administered as is various basis on the go. It is available. It can be available in long modules. It can be available in bit-sized learnings also. So these things AI is bringing to table, and the customization, the scope of customization to individuals' need has gone up multi-pronged,
Right,
because it will learn, it will curate, it will further learn, it will see how Vivek does it, likes it, his speed of navigation, blah, blah. And then it will keep on curating, and through this self-learning, it will keep on modifying it the way it is representing, producing the content for Vivek and all. So that way, AI is enabling learning also very effectively. An entire experiential journey as such is becoming easier, smoother, better from an employee perspective. And yes, some organizations are at the beginning of this moving or adopting of AI from employee perspective. Some are really taking leaps and bounds. And respective departments, it is not just HR, for respective departments, people are again like leveraging it. Finance will be doing for them where AI is useful. Marketing, sales are leveraging AI where it can be useful for them to reach out to customer, to understand customer better, getting some of the customer life cycle value things done, sorted through AI, right? So this is something which is happening across. It is not just that HR where something is changing, and employees are learning, reasonably adapting to it well.
right. Now, in this particular kind of new world situation, and you
Mhm.
as a leader within the function of the HR, what are some of the new challenges and situations that you are encountering now that, for example, maybe last year or before that you didn't see?
One thing which I won't say as a challenge, but you can probably put it as my wish list, or what
Right.
HR can be and should be, a vision around it is. And I'll definitely come to the challenge part of it also later on. But first, maybe my wish list.
Sure.
So if you look at departments like marketing and sales, they will talk about customer in terms of customer life cycle value. And then they will talk about customer life cycle value. This is the customer acquisition cost. This is the upselling. This is the cross-selling opportunity. This is the retention rate. And if we maintain so and so across customer life cycle value, a set of 100 customers can give me this much of profit, right?
Right. Right.
If something similar we HR fraternity can have in place for employee cost of acquisition, retention rate, upskilling opportunity, impact of that upskilling, and thereby vis-a-vis employee cost per year, say, what is the employee capital or employee lifetime value, which the set of employees can contribute to organization in terms of profitability, right? So employee lifetime value, a notion of it. and then it can become a matrices to track HR's effectiveness also. Say at cost of 10 million today, the human capital or employee lifetime value of my setup is 500 million. And
Right.
with all the good interventions, AI, L&D, talent management, talent acquisition, all those good initiatives, modification, enhancements in those, at the same cost of say 10 million, the 500 million valuation goes to 700 million, right?
Mm.
That would be the HR effectiveness. And then the talking terminologies of HR will also become something which a business perspective, from business perspective and CEO perspective will start making more sense. And it will then start getting that kind of entry on the table, which probably may not be there today with that much of prominence.
Yeah.
Right. So that is something, and then board and everywhere it will start following. I believe that uh, CHROs will be part of ex-CHROs will be part of the board constitutions today. There may not be many. There would be ex-CEOs, ex-CFOs, ex-CMOs, but ex-CHROs. Once we start talking at employee life cycle value in this sense and see the numbers in that perspective, doing all the good things which HR does, but bringing the element of numbers to it,
Yeah.
right? That will probably change the way we do. And coming to the point of challenges which we face as a HR leader, I have faced often. Many of my HR colleagues, I'm sure, can relate. Is see, employees see HR many times as very pro management, or worse can be just messengers of management, right? And leadership will see HR as slightly pro-employee who probably don't understand the business impact and criticality of business, and are more and more talking about, say, employee well-being or employee care and all, right? So this balancing act, and the fact and the need to balance employee and management, because holistically they are part of the same organization. And if a organization is thriving, employee, management, leadership, everyone is going to thrive. And if organization is facing hurdles and hassles, everyone around is going to face, right? So how I manage that part, that if this challenge I see, of course, navigating perceptions is something a leader has to be able to manage. But when decisions are to be taken, and sometimes difficult decisions are to be taken, at back of my mind, I always keep organization as first. Will it benefit the organization or will it be detrimental for the organization? There
Mhm.
can be a small set of people who may not benefit out of something which is largely going to benefit the organization. And vice versa, there can be very small set of people who will benefit out of some decision, but organization on whole may not. Right. So whenever making a decision on this, if I am facing any challenge, what is the right decision? I just go back to this framework. Is it going to be beneficial for the organization? If yes, I go for it. I recommend it. I help execute it. And HR, being HR, you talked of strength and weaknesses of HR. So
Yeah.
one I would like to put over here, which is a strength. For some, it becomes a weakness. HR is not about being getting into a popularity contest, right? You don't have to be necessarily popular and take very pro X or pro Y decisions. You have to be pragmatic and
Right.
balanced, right? So if you're not, that will become a weakness, right? So that is the part. I would say when challenges, this is the biggest challenge, and that is my recipe on how to tackle with that challenge.
Yeah, 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 right. Makes sense, makes sense. Now we talked about the challenges that you right now face. Let's talk
Hmm.
about kind of the change. I'm not sure if you've noticed, with every generation, there's a new way of thinking, new way of
Hmm.
looking at work, life,
Hmm.
etc., right? How have you gone about, in a way, what are the changes that you have noticed with this new generation coming into
Hmm.
the workforce, and
Hmm.
how do you keep your team or in organization together where there are several generations working together and kind of producing?
Right, right. So to some extent, it is a aspect of exposure, which every generation would have gotten in their formative stage, right? So we do have generation which had to learn typing on computer when
Yeah.
they were employed itself, right? And then there is generation who is born with computer to be there at home from day one of their coming to life, right? So uh, this exposure, of course, and along with this, the notion of job stability versus the notion of job being the source of fulfillment and enrichment, that transition has happened across generations. Initial generation was more about job security, 30 years same job, 35 years same job. Now it is more about what I like, what I love, what I want to do, and if I'm not getting it here, probably I can try it somewhere else. If it is not this sector, maybe some other sector. If it is not this department and function, maybe something else, right? So the notion of job security has transitioned to a notion of, am I getting fulfillment in what I'm doing? Right. So the way to engage accordingly, of course, has to be different. When we are dealing with someone who is probably 80s born and before that, right? More standard process policies give them comfort.
Hmm.
Yeah. So departments where you need to have more standard process policy by very nature of them, they're having such profiles definitely helps. At the same time, there are roles more so in the startup or startup like stage of organization where defining it is not easy. You
Yeah.
don't want to even define it, right? You want it to be a role where you will have to probably wear double hats, triple hats, and you don't want ambiguity to go away because it will then kill creativity around it,
Hmm.
right? Alternate thinking, out of box thinking, all that will take will go away. So such profiles and such roles is where probably we have seen younger Gen Z and now even the next gen is almost about to join the workforce would be and are doing wonders. So when we look at our talent acquisition, we don't go by just that, okay, years of experience has to be 20.
Right.
At times, it is good to look at someone who is much bright, younger. At the same time, there will be roles where you don't want to do with someone with 30 years of experience,
Right.
right? So age is not that much of a criteria. We probably look at role and then fitment to that role, right? Asked about how technology is enabling, and I was mentioning about sourcing, how
Yeah.
sourcing, recruitment, talent acquisition is getting transformed. But a very basic thing around it, which I and our team always keep in mind, is fitment to culture and fitment to more than fitment, the clear role expectation explanation to the candidate.
Right.
What is expected out of, right? So if a department or an organization is in a stage where it is much standard process driven and you put someone who likes ambiguity and creativity, the two will not work,
Yeah.
right? So this culture fitment or role fitment, which probably still now softwares and AI cannot do, people can do, is something we don't want to miss upon in the
Yeah.
gamut of process, policy, wonderful design, wonderful algorithm, AI. This element we don't want to miss upon, that fitment to culture of that department and overall organization, and expectation setting that, okay, boss, this is what you are signing up for,
Yeah.
right? That has to be there. Otherwise, the retention and all won't work. The productivity and all will remain only on paper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this definitely gives us a direction in terms of how to work with them, right? Retain them.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
attract them? How do you attract this generation, the talented folks, to the organization? How do you do that?
So again, I mean, of course, we are into startup-like stage and education edtech sector we belong to. So we, of course, get to work a lot with passing graduates, those who are preparing for entrance exam. Even if we are not looking for at them from employee perspective, they are our target customer segment.
Right,
So engaging them and attracting them is kind of part of business DNA for us.
right,
And one very important aspect again over here is they like things when they are transparent, they are clearly communicated. Uh, they of course want you to be reaching out to them with different platforms. It cannot be a newspaper ad anymore. It cannot be a Naukri and a Indeed job post anymore. You have to be there on LinkedIn. You have to be there reaching out to them through social media, even for customer acquisition, the same ways, right? And they do have a very strong notion of trying out something when it comes from their referral network. When
Right.
their buddy, their senior, their college senior is referring, okay, go to this organization, it will be wonderful. So we do try to take a lot of interns, we do try to take a lot of management trainees in our setup. It helps us understand that segment, one, and it helps us position ourselves as a brand to work with when it comes to employer branding and to tapping the Gen Z. So these are the channels we prefer. We don't believe too much in putting an ad. We probably believe in getting good referral candidates coming through this setup.
Right, right, right. Vivek, soon we'll be coming to an end to our podcast. So one of our final question is actually now you speaking directly to them, to this generation. What would be your advice in terms of now as they are going to join the workforce? How should they think about
Mhm.
their career? Maybe some targeted advice for people who are looking to join the domain of HR itself. That would be great.
So uh, I do keep meeting these graduate, postgraduate students a lot in various workshops and seminars. So those who are vying to be an HR, to them, my advice usually is if you are having a good combination of IQ and EQ,
Right.
and you like solving problem of people, you like to guide them, you like to help them, you like to build rapport with them, you like to spend time with, you are in a nutshell a social being, active social being, right? Then this will be a very fulfilling and rewarding career for you. And likewise, for in general, if anyone is looking for any, uh, probably gone are the days of where there will be dearth of job opportunity if you are reasonably talented,
Hmm.
right? So millions of jobs, lakhs of startup all over across, right? So my advice to them is look at what probably drives you, motivates you. Try to make your career in that. Even if you make few initial mistakes, you are at an age where you can recover back in no time. If you want to try something of your own, probably that is the right age if you want. And most of them now are financially slightly better off. I mean, couple of years here and there, usually either their parents are there to take care of them, or they have small savings to navigate through those couple of years. So my advice usually to them is to try out what they want to try.
Right.
uh, be fearless, go to market in a way that you can make that a career choice in an informed way rather than something which is put upon you, pushed upon you. And you don't have to be just engineer, you don't have to be just doctor. You have many avenues now and try it out. If you think India is great, wonderful. If you think abroad opportunities also to be looked at, why not? Go ahead, look at it. If you want to come back, do come back. It's an exciting market in India as well, right? So just expand your horizon and go about it, is what I usually say when it is beyond HR from my side.
Right, right. Great. I think those are some fantastic advices, Vivek. Be fearless and go out there and explore. So
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Vivek, for this really nice and insightful conversation. And we
sure.
absolutely loved it, and wish you the very best also going forward.
Great. Thanks. And thanks for inviting me, Rahul, for this forum. It was wonderfully enriching for me as well. Some of the questions do make me think that, okay, these are the perspective to be looked at. If they were not cautiously in front of me, now they are. So
Yeah,
thanks. Thanks, Rahul.
perfect, perfect. Thank you, Vivek.